Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ellen. Today we're working on a very simple, easy landscape for beginners, showing you how to make this stormy sunset sky. I go over the step by step. There's no need for a trace. It's just really simple techniques to create something like this. If you're just starting out, this is perfect for you. If you don't know how to mix a sky that looks like this, all that good stuff. Have any questions in the comment section? If you want to be a Patreon member, I have more exclusive and extensive tutorials on my Patreon where you get reference photos and traceables. Click the link in the description box below to see and learn more about my Patreon, which is when you start to grow watercolor, you really want to get into more things. I have some great stuff over there. But without further ado, let's get started. So I'm using Fabriano 100% cotton cold press paper. This is a block. This is a 7 by 10 inch block. I just taped the edges with Scotch Magic tape, so when you lift it up, you have a nice framed picture. Again, super simple landscape if you're just starting out. You can figure out where you want the sky, if you want larger or smaller, and kind of keep it like mostly here, and then kind of come down here with the landscape like that. What we're going to start off doing is mixing our paints first, and then we're going to get the sky wet and wet and put the sky in. So I'm just going to grab my Princeton 12 aqua brush. Going to mix up a few colors. I'm going to loosen up some yellow ochre. If you don't have yellow ochre, you can mix some yellow, cadmium yellow deep with a little burnt umber. I also want to loosen up either magenta, or you can use pyro ruben or scarlet, or even just like a little bright rose here. I'm mixing some bright rose with the scarlet, play around with that a little bit. Maybe even add a little burnt sienna in there. So it's like a pinkish, orangey kind of color. And then, of course, my ultramarine blue deep with burnt sienna right here. Those two colors. And on the side, loosen up some ultramarine blue deep itself. See, we got all these colors happening. Now, we're going to take the area that's going to be the sky part, and we're going to get that wet. Just going to grab whatever big brush you have. This is a 16-inch round Neptune series from Princeton. You want to get this pretty damp, pretty wet. All right. So you can move the paint around. I could even just use this brush too. Just going to grab some of that yellow ochre. Just going to put some of that in like this. Just go like this. Well, I'm moving pretty fast, by the way. Just grabbing that paint. You can see that yellow ochre in there. La la la. Grab some of that orangey reddish color that we kind of mixed in. Just kind of throw that in like that. Look at that wonderful color. All right, you can even bring this yellow down a little bit more if you want to, or just take some water and come down here on the bottom. Got the nice orange. Here's a little bit more yellow ochre if you want to put a little bit more yellow down in here. So like a sunset kind of color, right? Now we've got that lovely ultramarine blue and burnt sienna mixture. I'm going to throw some of this down in here. Kind of at an angle going down, right? Tilting it. Going to grab some actual ultramarine blue deep itself here, leaving some space in between. See, I left that white space in between. You can even put some over in here. That blue. And that's kind of like this like stormy kind of sky, right? At this point, let's make the paint a little thicker. So that was really loose paint. I'm grabbing the ultramarine blue deep and burnt sienna, and it's pretty thick. So it's a gray, but it's a thicker, creamier texture. Almost like cream. Barely moving it around. All right? You put some of that little marks like under this wash that you did before. You can do a little bit bigger strokes. My pigment wasn't mixed enough, so a little bigger strokes, a little smaller strokes, a little bit more stormy coming from the side, from the top, right? Really kind of, that's it. And add a few little small skinny ones as you come down, because when the clouds get lower, they get more linear. See, just like almost like those skinny stripes. They can kind of connect a little bit here, and just little teeny ones way off in the distance in that creamy kind of paint. Right? That's how you get that stormy kind of cloud or sunset. I might grab this paint again, a little thicker still, get a little bit darker, and mixing this up kind of here. Kind of connecting this a little bit more and getting it darker under here because we want to have a sunset kind of look to it, right? We can water it down a little bit, tap it on a paper towel and get even lighter. Taking up, why we tap it on the paper towel is because we don't want it to be super wet everywhere. We want just a light color, and I'm tapping it here. Little taps. And look how simple that was to create that stormy sky, right? I'm gonna put a little bit more taps of this dark color in here, underneath this cloud. Don't want to fuss too much. And then remember the ultramarine blue itself, you can get just a little bit more color up in here. Just making it a little bit more brighter. You do have to move fast though. That's what I have to say to you about that. If you want to create something like this, really kind of fast. That's just all I did was that. Now I have this weird kind of break here. I might just kind of go in here and kind of fill it in so the cloud looks a little bit more normal. Not like this weird linear cloud. Fill that in a little bit. That looks much better. And look at that, sunset. Didn't take much time, right? Going in here, adding a little color. And that's it. That's as fast as you go with that kind of sky, right? We just clean up our little area here and we'll start working on our ground. And we'll work on some greens. Again, you don't have to make it so difficult for yourself. I always use Prussian blue, cadmium yellow deep, make a nice bright green. Sometimes if you want it even darker, you add more Prussian blue. And I always add a little burnt umber or burnt sienna just to tone the blue down because it's more of a blue green. You can make a different kind of green with ultramarine blue deep with yellow. More of an olivey green. You have to play with your blues and your yellows. I use one yellow and mix all these different blues. That. And of course, we have a big area here, so we're going to play with this light green first. And I'll just take whatever brush I have, the number 12 brush, Aqua Elite, and I'll start to play with adding that color in first, right? And this consistency is pretty loose. A lot of water to it. So you can move it on this paper. If you don't have enough, you see what happens? You get the dry brush. And you might want that. It's kind of a nice look to it. Really kind of simple. I sometimes like to leave it like this, like an unfinished edge. And I just like it that way. Gonna add a little bit more brown to this green. So we have this deeper green. And that's gonna go in while it's damp. Right on the edge there. Just really quickly, just kind of pushing that paint in there on top of that light green. Again, I can even thicker, adding those two colors again. Even darker. Look at that. Mixing them in here. Getting a different tone. Right? And I have that unfinished area. I could kind of go in and just finish it off if I want to. Add some more greens in here. It's that simple. I have that little white spot. I'll grab some yellow, cadmium yellow deep. Go in there and fill that sucker in. You can add a little couple of marks kind of going this way with some deeper color. And kind of down here. Give it some interest. It could be on one side, mostly. I'm getting thicker with the paint again, like it's almost like out of the tube, like we call it butter. And adding a few more of these little marks. For simple trees, I'm not kidding, simple trees. And now it's still pretty damp. A little looser paint, right? Yellow, cadmium yellow deep. It could even be peacock blue or Prussian blue again. Now it's looser, I'm adding more water to it. you could just make these little taps. Now, up here, it's probably dried, so you don't have this like bleed, but it really kind of just tapping the brush. Slightly tapping it and then moving it over here for another big tree. Right, and then we're going to do a couple of trees going down here. You can make it a little bit bigger up top here, but they're just little taps for little trees that are kind of hanging out here. We'll have to get them a little bit darker because the sun is setting, right? And you can have them just on one side, maybe add a few on this side too, so they have some friends. You can add a little house in here too. But I'm just tapping, pushing down, and then tippy tapping on the top, right? Now you can make it darker because obviously the sun's setting and you can't see what's behind that tree. I'll add a little Prussian blue to that color. Boom. A little Prussian blue here so it's darker, and you're tapping it like really thick. Prussian blue and some burnt umber. Maybe a little bit more burnt umber. While it's still damp, you can tap like the bottom left-hand side. Tippy tap. Just take your time. I like to go a little fast because that's who I am. And then on the bottom. And that's kind of all you do for these little trees. I'm still using them in 12 brush. If it's difficult for you, switch to a 10 or an 8. There's our little trees, right? We're getting there. Just a simple little landscape. You know, if you want to add more details, you could add a little house. You could add a fence. You can add some like, I don't know, people walking, which would be kind of cute. And they would be so tiny that you wouldn't have to worry about it. I would grab a smaller brush. It's a Princeton 8 long round. And take my burnt umber. And you can mix some Paynes gray with that, or even some ultramarine blue deep. You get a nice deeper brown color. See, ultramarine blue deep, the burnt umber. And that could be a tree. See, just pull down, make your tree trunks. Kind of going here for your trees. Same thing here. Pull this down for your trees. You have a line of trees happening. Now, if we did want to do like a little house, I'm going to grab some burnt sienna. It might be easier for you to draw a little, just a triangle here and a little square. Kind of go across and down. So I'll zoom in. So it could be a little brown house, see? We can add shading in a bit. Just a little brown house hanging out. I'll do the roof in a minute while it's still damp. You don't want to put that, it's going to bleed into it. And you can add, grabbing some Paynes gray or even this color called Lunar Black. Make a little fence post kind of coming down here. So tiny little details, right? Going down into the fence. This is a simple little landscape. We're not creating something like crazy. Things you can do to enhance a little bit more. Take something like this really thick kind of paint. I was tapping on a paper towel and do some dry brushing. Going across, that's dry brushing. So this, you don't see very wet, you see these like dry brush strokes. You can add some browns and grass, just little strokes going up like this, here and there. Not everywhere, just a few, maybe some bigger ones in the front. We're just doing a simple, easy landscape. If you're just starting out, little brush strokes like this. Up, cluster it. See? You can grab some lighter green, cluster it. In the front, there would be longer grass. Kind of going out like this. You can even grab some browns. Just making it a little bit more interesting. So it's like a little prairie. You can do a little tiny grass back here. Little strokes for little folks. And again, add a little bit of dry brushing kind of going on here. even a little bit darker color from the tree and the house and up in here, right? That's, again, what's simple here. And then we're just going to add a roof. So a gray color. So I use ultramarine blue deep again and burnt sienna. A little bit thicker here. Got a nice gray color for the roof. The roof of the house. You could put a chimney on this. Now I just put the first wash. I would let it dry and then I'll add some shadow and we'll call it a day. We've created a really cool, kind of wonderful, simple landscape. You can take the same gray, water it down a bit, use it for shadow over here with the trees, even on here. Remember the sun is setting, right? Go up in here, little grasses, some shadows. That's a little bit more advanced. Getting a little more advanced, we water down that gray. We add it to the side here of the house and the roof, right? Thicker of the two colors, or just do Paynes gray itself. And you can put the little door, simple little doorway. Once this dries, you can make this have some windows on the side, you know. It's up to you. It's just like a simple little house, right? And this, the sun setting. I might even actually add a little bit more color here. Just dry brushing. And really kind of cute, you can grab some yellow paint or white paint right out of the tube. White watercolor, yellow watercolor. Just do some little two-tapped for some, like, it could be dandelions hanging in the field, or yellow flowers. And just tippy-tapping little dots, little tiny dots back here. It can be any color you want. Blue. Just going to do a little yellow, and it will dilute a little bit because it is watercolor. Or you can keep it straight out of the tube. But it's nice to have a little bit of flowers in the field. They could be dandelions. And then go back and you add that window. And you're done. Now we take off the tape and reveal what we created. Simple, wonderful landscape. Oops. This happens real quick. Just lift. Boom. I got paint on there. So I took up the tape. Got a little dot here. I'll have to clean it up. Whoops. Oh my God, my brush was dirty. Something like that happens to you. Just take it up real quick. What I wanted to do was add like a little kind of building. Could be yellow ochre or a little brown in the background. Or even add some greens. Just feel like it needs a little something back here. This little funky building. I'm going to add and make it a more funky building. I just made it up. Looks a little bit more interesting now, right? Not just like one note. But that's just me. Simple little landscape. You got to move fast with the sky to create a really cute little landscape like this. You know, once you're starting out. The trick is to have all the colors ready, then get it wet, and then just kind of bleed them in. And just kind of tapping that fast. Please don't keep going back over and over and over inside of it. Because if you keep doing that, what happens is you create these cauliflower blooms, and then you get really upset. Like, it didn't come out smooth and pretty like Ellen's. Because I'm telling you to go fast and just sit it down. I literally tell people in my workshops, drop your paint brushes. I might go back in here, add a little bit more depth with some green, deeper, darker green, if it's not dark enough, on the bottom of these trees here, a little bit here. And then you can add a little bit of greenery, tippy-tap kind of loose ones out here. Just like so, just using like this, like I said, this number 8 long round. Get this loose little greens. But adding the depth of the dark is really going to help, especially because it's a sunset. Look at that. Didn't take much time at all. Really kind of fun, simple. And like I said, see the flowers already kind of dissipated. You can't see them. You can add another layer of them, really, really thick right out of the tube. Sometimes it works. Or even if you want to, just put some gouache on there. No one will ever know. See, I might have to go over this again. It happens. You got to play with it. See how it comes out for you. I have fun with the watercolor, and you should too. Don't be intimidated with a sky like this. You can do it. Just try and work fast. If you have to slow me down, slow me down. All right, guys, I hope you liked it. Let me know. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.